a thin, dark line moving just below the curvature of Earth. Silent, steady, and impossibly fast. At first, the astronauts think it's debris, a detached solar panel maybe. But debris doesn't change direction, and debris doesn't climb. One of them leans toward the window. He watches the object rise, not fall. Rise, tracing an arc that no known satellite could follow. The onboard radar paints it as nothing but static. The transponder identifies nothing. No signal, no beacon, no registration tag. Yet it's there, casting a shadow against the soft blue rim of the planet below. They call it in to mission control. At first, laughter, a half joke about seeing space ghosts. But seconds later, ground radar confirms it. A faint trace, at the outer edge of the atmosphere, behaving like no known orbital body. Altitude, fluctuating between 270,000 and 310,000 feet. Speed, erratic, supersonic one moment, suborbital drift the next. Identity, unknown. Then comes the image enhancement. As the frame stabilizes, the outline sharpens into something unmistakable: long fuselage, angled wings, and near its tail, faded markings that should not exist here. Letters, numbers, barely visible, but unmistakably human. It's not a satellite, not a capsule, not even a drone. It's an aircraft. Mission control freezes. Every frequency goes quiet, because orbit is no place for planes. And yet, staring back through the observation window, one astronaut whispers a sentence that will later make its way into the mission transcript. It looks like a jet, a black one. They watch it glide beneath them, haloed in blue plasma, its nose glowing faintly red. No propulsion plume, no contrail. Just a smooth, silent motion, like a shadow crossing the edge of creation. The log ends there. No follow-up explanation. No official acknowledgement. Just a timestamp and a question. What was an aircraft, a plane, doing in orbit? And why did it disappear from every radar screen seconds later, as if it had never been there at all? Rewind. 20 hours earlier. Low Earth orbit, 260 miles above the Pacific, the Odyssey 7 mission was 2 days from completing its routine science run solar radiation mapping. Atmospheric imaging, nothing unusual, a calm window in an otherwise quiet mission. Below, in the thin upper atmosphere, the planet glowed faint blue. Streaks of lightning illuminating weather systems 2 continents wide, everything ordinary. Until the anomaly appeared. Mission Control first noticed it at 22:16 UTC. A blip, not in orbit, but climbing toward it. A heat signature rising from near the equator at more than 3,000 miles per hour. The algorithm classified it as a meteor fragment, except it wasn't descending. It was accelerating upward, as if launched by something unseen. Within minutes, the object had cleared 200,000 feet, far above the reach of conventional aircraft. And yet, the tracking software refused to categorize it as space debris. Its motion was too controlled, its trajectory too precise. Down on the ground, airspace control centers from Guam to California were pinged for cross-verification. Every response came back negative. No civilian launch, no classified test announced, no record of anything that could reach those altitudes. The official radar term used was spurious return. Unofficially, it was something else, a craft that wasn't supposed to exist. Flight analysts began reconstructing its climb from raw telemetry data. Altitude readings rose in increments, each suggesting propulsion far beyond standard jet performance. At 110,000 feet, it should have stalled. At 180,000, it should have disintegrated. But at 240,000, it kept going, almost as if space itself were pulling it upward. By the time Odyssey 7's crew picked it up visually, the object had already entered near space, less than 20 miles below their own altitude. The moment the astronauts realized it wasn't a satellite. And yet, the timing is what unsettled investigators the most, because a separate radar array, operated by a civilian aerospace tracking group, had recorded a similar trajectory 37 years earlier. Different hemisphere, same shape, same altitude profile. and the same inexplicable disappearance. If these two events are linked, that would mean the unidentified craft has appeared not once, but twice, decades apart, always at the boundary where the sky ends and orbit begins. So, what kind of vehicle can cross that line? Not a rocket, too slow on radar. Not a meteor, too controlled. Not a satellite, wrong vector. Whatever it was, its existence implied something almost unthinkable, a technology capable of reaching orbit and coming back. To understand how such a flight could even happen, we have to understand what the edge of space really is, and what happens when something tries to cheat its way through it. At 85,000 feet, air stops behaving like air. It thins to a whisper, too sparse to carry sound, too cold to sustain life. Jet engines choke, control surfaces stop biting the wind. Beyond this point, flight as we know it ends. That boundary, called the Kármán line, sits roughly 60 miles above the Earth. It's where aerodynamics yields to orbital mechanics. Below it, planes fly by, pushing air. Above it, rockets fly by, pushing themselves. And between those two worlds exists an invisible barrier. A narrow gray zone no human aircraft has ever truly mastered, until, perhaps, now. The telemetry from Odyssey 7 shows something astonishing. The object's trajectory held steady through regions where drag alone should have torn it apart. At those altitudes, the difference between success and disintegration is measured in fractions of degrees. A single misalignment, and the heat load can vaporize titanium in seconds. So how did it survive? How did it keep climbing when physics says it shouldn't? Engineers reviewing the data proposed three initial theories. First, active plasma sheathing, a defensive ionized layer, essentially wrapping the craft in charged gas to deflect heat and friction. It's a concept tested in hypersonic prototypes, but never achieved in sustained flight. Such a system would glow faintly, blue-white, exactly as the astronauts described. Second, variable geometry skin. Imagine an aircraft whose panels expand, contract, and shift microdegrees in real time. Adjusting to airflow like living tissue, adaptive titanium alloys, known as shape memory metals, could theoretically do this, if cooled fast enough. Problem: at that altitude, there's nothing left to carry heat away. Third, propulsion override. What if it wasn't a jet at all? What if the engines themselves transition mid-flight, from air-breathing turbines to closed-cycle ramjets, effectively turning a plane into a temporary spacecraft? Such systems exist in concept labs, codenamed combined cycle propulsion. But no confirmed test has ever reached orbit. Every theory fails the same way, by energy budget. To climb from the upper stratosphere into orbital glide, the craft would need enough thrust to overcome 25 times its own drag, but without the oxygen to burn fuel. Unless it carried no conventional fuel at all. Some analysts proposed it might be a magnetohydrodynamic drive, a theoretical propulsion method that uses magnetic fields to accelerate ionized particles, no moving parts, no combustion, only plasma and power. A system rumored to exist in classified research circles, but never confirmed. If that's what powered it, then what the astronauts saw wasn't just a plane. It was a machine capable of rewriting the physics of lift itself. For decades, aerospace design has struggled to solve what scientists call the continuity problem, the gap between flight and orbit. This object, whatever it was, appeared to cross that gap as if it wasn't even there. And that's the paradox. Every known mechanism says it should have fallen apart, yet it didn't. So the question becomes, was this the product of a new propulsion breakthrough? A classified experiment operating beyond public knowledge? Or something else entirely? A phenomenon we've mistaken for technology? Because if a plane did reach orbit that night, it didn't just challenge engineering. It challenged the very definition of where Earth ends. The transmission logs, the voices recorded as it happened, and the moment one astronaut realized what they were really looking at might not have been a craft at all. Data can tell us where something is, but only people can tell us what it felt like. The Odyssey 7 crew had been trained for the unimaginable: micrometeor impacts, radiation storms, sudden decompression. But not this. At 22:21 UTC, Astronaut Commander Harlow initiated a live transmission, voice only, routed through the Deep Space Network relay. That recording still exists. It begins with a simple line. "We have visual on the object, and it's not debris." Her breathing is calm but measured, the practiced restraint of someone trying to hold procedure together while her instincts scream that something's wrong. It's black, no thermal bloom, shapes consistent with an aircraft. Mission Control replies, "Say again, Odyssey 7. Aircraft? Confirm aircraft?" "Affirmative. But it's above the boundary layer. It's climbing." Then a pause. 8 seconds of silence broken only by soft air circulation through her suit mic. And then, it just turned. Her co-pilot, Dr. Kwan, reported seeing a faint halo form around the silhouette, a corona of blue light rippling like static electricity. He described it later as watching metal breathe. That moment, that phrase, appears again and again in his debriefing notes. It breathed. The flight log shows both astronauts remained visually locked on the object for 22 seconds. During that time, their life support telemetry spiked. Elevated pulse, irregular breathing, slight tremors, all physical signs of stress. But what's strange is what followed. Both crew members reported a faint vibration through the shuttle hull, as though something had brushed against the ship's magnetic field. Yet every instrument read normal. No collision, no proximity alert. Only a subtle electrical interference that passed as quickly as it came. Hours later, during the post-event medical check, Commander Harlow described a feeling she couldn't explain. She said it was like standing near a turbine, not hearing it, but feeling its power in her bones, like something enormous had moved, unseen, just beyond the glass. She used one word over and over in her report: presence. Not machine, not light, not life, but presence. Psychologists reviewing the case labeled it a mild stress hallucination, a projection of human pattern recognition onto random motion. But those same analysts couldn't explain the synchronized reaction between two people, separated by 10 meters, seeing the same impossible shape at the same instant. The mission transcripts were sealed after that. Official reason: unverified sensory anomaly. Unofficially, according to internal memos later leaked, someone higher up wrote 3 words in the margin of the transcript: human response, genuine. Because even without proof of what they saw, the recording captures something that data alone can't: the sound of awe. The kind of awe that comes when a human realizes that the sky they've always known might not be the final one. When the footage went public months later, scientists, defense analysts, and even mythographers began building their own explanations, and what started as a single sighting soon split into 3 irreconcilable truths. When the Odyssey 7 recording leaked, it didn't take long for the theories to begin. Within hours, forums filled with speculation, physicists, defense watchers, and conspiracy hunters all tracing the same question: what was that object? 3 explanations emerged, each compelling, each incomplete. Theory 1, the classified test flight. According to one school of thought, the object wasn't alien or anomalous at all. It was human. A secret aerospace demonstrator, perhaps a remnant of Cold War propulsion programs that never officially ended. Documents declassified decades later hinted at experiments in transatmospheric vehicles, craft designed to skip along the edge of space like stones on water. They were meant to bridge the gap between aircraft and shuttle. Those programs were canceled publicly in the 1990s. But budget line items didn't vanish. They simply changed names. Black projects hidden under innocuous codes like high-temperature materials research. If the object seen by Odyssey 7 was one of these, it would represent technology at least 40 years ahead of public disclosure. That would explain its aerodynamic grace, its lack of contrail, its near-perfect control. But it raises another question. If this was a test flight, why risk flying it under a manned orbital mission? And why does no agency claim it? Even in the world of classified prototypes, silence that deep is rare. Theory 2, the atmospheric mirage. Others argue there was no craft at all. What the astronauts saw was a mirage born of physics. At high altitudes, plasma layers can bend light, refracting ground-based reflections upward into orbit. The phenomenon, called specular ion reflection, can make objects appear to move where nothing exists. Even a re-entry wake hundreds of miles away could, in theory, shimmer like a silhouette beneath the shuttle. It's elegant. It's testable. And yet, it fails one test: motion. Mirages don't turn. Mirages don't cast measurable electromagnetic interference. And mirages don't carry military-grade markings faintly visible through magnified imagery. Unless the image itself contained artifacts from prior calibration. A digital ghost echoing across sensors, that possibility remains. But it doesn't explain the voice of Commander Harlow, the tremor in her tone, the word she used: presence. Theory 3. The temporal echo. Then comes the theory no scientist wants to put their name on, but no investigator can ignore. A temporal echo. Not an object moving through space, but through time. Radar logs from decades apart show near-identical trajectories. A high-speed climb from near-equatorial latitudes, vanishing at the same altitude band, the same coordinates, down to a few kilometers. Could it be the same craft? Appearing twice? Once during a Cold War test, once again now, as if replaying an old event in real time. The data isn't impossible. Quantum models allow for closed-loop world lines, brief moments where high-energy systems intersect their own past states. But applying that to a physical aircraft would require energy densities rivaling small stars. Still, one physicist, speaking anonymously, offered a haunting possibility. If an object were moving fast enough near the boundary of gravitational escape, its signal could scatter across its own timeline. You wouldn't be seeing it twice. You'd be seeing it once from two directions in time. No proof, no replication. Just math, and the silence of those who might know more. Each explanation solves part of the puzzle, but leaves the rest untouched. The classified test explains performance, not appearance. The mirage explains vision, not radar. The temporal echo explains recurrence, but not reality. And so, the official report closed with a single line: object remains unclassified. Further study pending. Pending, even now. Next, new evidence. Because months after Odyssey 7 returned, someone opened the raw telemetry files again and discovered something that had been hiding in plain sight. A second signal. One the instruments hadn't been programmed to detect. Months passed. The Odyssey 7 mission faded from headlines. The footage was archived. The audio transcripts sealed under anomalous telemetry. No actionable cause. Most people moved on, but one didn't. A systems analyst named Dr. Elias Rourke, working under a data integrity contract, was tasked with a routine check, verifying long-term storage consistency. He wasn't an astronaut, not a physicist, just a specialist in lost data. During one audit, Rourke noticed something odd. Inside the sensor files from Odyssey 7's optical array, there was a gap, a fraction of a second missing between two telemetry pulses. Not corrupted, not blank, just empty. And in that emptiness, a faint rhythmic oscillation, 3 peaks, perfectly spaced, too structured to be noise. When amplified and spectrally mapped, the pattern resolved into something astonishing, a secondary signal buried inside the main sensor feed. It wasn't coming from Earth. It wasn't coming from the shuttle. It was riding the reflection of the object itself. Rourke ran the data through multiple filters: gravitational lensing correction, atmospheric distortion models, until one alignment made the pattern stabilize. When visualized, the oscillation formed a coherent shape, not a waveform, a blueprint, lines and arcs, geometric, deliberate. The kind of symmetry found in engineered systems, 6 nodes, each pulsing at slightly different frequencies, all resonating around a central harmonic. The implication was impossible to ignore. Whatever the object was, it wasn't silent. It was transmitting. At first, the frequencies seemed meaningless. But when translated from time domain intervals into spatial ratios, something remarkable happened. The values matched known aerodynamic stress ratios from hypersonic test flights, numbers that describe how materials flex under extreme thermal load. In other words, the signal was encoding its own structural condition, as if the craft were monitoring itself, or reporting itself. Rourke sent his findings to the mission's telemetry board. The response came back in a single line of text. No record of secondary transmission, do not pursue. He did anyway. By cross-referencing orbital archives, he found that the same tripulse pattern had appeared once before, 37 years earlier. The same year, an experimental reconnaissance plane vanished over the Mediterranean. Different frequency, same signature, which means the signal wasn't new, it was repeating, recurring, like a beacon echoing across time. And then came the strangest part. When the signal was accelerated to audio range and played through a low-frequency transducer, it sounded like breathing, a slow, rhythmic inhale and exhale buried under the noise of the cosmos. Was it mechanical feedback, a sensor artifact, or something designed, intentionally, to mimic life? No one knows. Because after Rourke's report leaked to the public data mirror, the original files disappeared from the archive. Checksum logs were rewritten, his user access revoked. 3 weeks later, Rourke left his position, citing fatigue and health issues. He never spoke publicly again. But one detail survived. The final line from his personal notes, handwritten, time-stamped the night before he resigned. If the object wasn't built to talk to us, then why did it leave something that sounds like a heartbeat? A signal hidden within a reflection. A pattern that mirrors itself across decades. If real, it means the object wasn't just seen, it was heard. And if it was heard, it can be found again. Because if the data isn't wrong, if that heartbeat is real, then someone, somewhere, knows what it belongs to. And they've been listening longer than we think. Every investigation ends somewhere, but this one doesn't. Because the more we learn about the object seen by Odyssey 7, the less it behaves like an object at all. It reacts, it adapts, and maybe it remembers. Months after Dr. Rourke's discovery, independent astronomers began reporting something peculiar. When they scanned the same orbital band where the anomaly was first recorded, their instruments picked up brief, faint spikes in background radiation, synchronized to the exact tripulse rhythm Rourke had documented. Not once, not random, but every 37 days. A pattern, a recurrence, almost like a check-in. No one could explain why a supposed unknown craft would emit on such a schedule. But deep space radio telescopes captured the same rhythm again, faint, but there, a single repeating heartbeat at the edge of the atmosphere. And every time it appears, a small distortion ripples across magnetospheric readings, as if something massive, unseen, were passing just beneath the sensors scientists debate. Military agencies deny, and yet the pattern continues. If it were an error, it would decay. If it were a hoax, it would vary. But it doesn't. It holds. Precise. Relentless. So what does it mean? Is the signal a remnant? A data ghost from some long-lost experiment that echoes through Earth's magnetic shell? Or is it active, a transmission designed to be noticed, but not understood? If the object was truly human, its purpose is hidden by a wall of classification deeper than most nations have access to. If it wasn't, then it raises a question more profound than any radar trace or frequency spike. Because maybe what those astronauts saw wasn't a visitor. Maybe it was a mirror, a reflection of something we once built, and then forgot, a fragment of human ambition looping endlessly at the edge of space, still transmitting, still waiting for someone to answer. The line between atmosphere and vacuum is thinner than a shadow, and whatever crosses it doesn't always stay there. So the next time you look up at the night sky and see a faint moving point sliding across the dark, ask yourself, is it one of ours? Or is it watching to see if we finally learned how to listen back?